is up, YouTube? Geek All Father here, bringing you another Walking Dead review. So, episode... My beard's wonky. Episode 7 of Season 7, and wicked episode. So jam-packed, full of crazy happenings and awesome stuff. So, let's get right into it. I'm going to see if I can make a video less than 10 minutes long talking about this wicked, and let's start. So there's a lot happening. Last episode was about meeting the group of people at Oceanside, and was kind of a medium-paced episode, catching up with some characters that we haven't seen in a long time. But this episode gets straight into the madness, which was Jesus and Carl in the back of the van heading to the Saviours outpost. So what's going to happen? Loads of speculation. You can imagine 20-30 different things could happen. So Rick wakes up and they're out scavenging for supplies for Negan. He's going to be back any day. And they come across the sign that says don't enter to this area because you're going to get shot, going to die. And we move back on to Rick, Jesus and Carl in the back of the van. Jesus jumps out of the van and makes his way to the Saviours camp on foot, but Carl stays in the back, kind of tricks Jesus, stays in the back of the van and goes via van. You also see Michonne walking down the road, whistling. Walkers are just strolling up to her and she's chopping their heads off, putting her sword down and dragging them somewhere. And you find out what she does at the end of the episode there. And then you cut back to, Rosita and Eugene going off to make bullets. So quite a few different things to follow in the episode, and they don't spend too much time on the free side bits or the culmination of what happens to each one of those sets of characters. So Rick, Eugene, Rosita and Michonne, it all happens at the end and you see what goes on there. The main story is about, in fact you don't see Jesus again until the end either, but the main story is about Carl and what happens to him. So the van turns up at the Saviours encampment. Carl's got an automatic machine gun in his hand. Some of the lads walk into the back of the van and he kills two of them. Negan's outside, you can hear him. He comes out of the van, Negan turns up. And Negan doesn't kill him immediately. And he takes him inside the Saviours camp. And he starts to show him stuff, show him what the Saviours are all about. So there is a point where he sees Daryl. Daryl's not saying anything. Just looking sorry for himself and doing his job, as he's been told to do. But Carl gets a tour around the Saviours camp. Negan shows him the respect that he gets from the people there. So it seems that Negan and the Saviours provide for other people in the Saviours encampment, and they are basically obedient to him. So he walks up and he has a speech to all the guys on the floor, and they all take a knee. So they all get down on their knee straight away, and they don't move until he tells them to do so, which is pretty cool. There is a point where Negan tells Carl, you're not scared of me, so stop acting like you are. Yeah, come on, let's go. And that's a good bit. Negan also introduces Carl to all of his wives, and he seems to have like 7 or 8. And again, Dee's ex-wife, there's been an altercation with one of his wives and her actual partner, and he has a chat with her. What he does say to the characters is, have I ever hit one of you girls? And the answer is no. So there are lines he won't cross, and I assume that line is he's not going to hit women, which is good for him and good for the women. But he goes and has a chat and he says, listen, I only want you to be here if you want to be here, and otherwise, I'm going to have to do something to I'm going to assume it's a real husband, She goes, yeah, I know, but she has to stay there. It's better than death. So it turns out that he goes and irons this chap's face. So the same thing that happened to Dee, all melted up skin. He pisses himself, he passes out naturally, which is a really good thing I love about the episode, is the fact that when you put a scalding hot iron against someone's face, you will pass out through the pain. It's a defence mechanism that your body will employ to stop you from suffering anymore. So it's really good that somewhere, generally in Hollywood and wherever else, these guys get beaten up shitless, take pain for days and don't pass out. It's not the way it works. So he passes out, and Daryl has to clean up his piss. And then Negan, and this is where it gets really good. Literally. In the meantime, Rosita and Eugene have a little argument. Eugene's not prepared to make bullets for Rosita because he knows that one bullet's not going to be able to stop Negan. Even if you do take out Negan, what do you do with the hundreds of other people in the camp? Rosita tells him, really mean to him, tells him, you're useless. For once, do something. And he makes some bullets. Cut back. And you get Carl and Negan sitting in what I assume is Negan's bedroom, or his room. He's got sofas in there and all sorts. And he wants Carl to take off his bandage and look at his eye. He wants to get to know Carl, and he gets him to take off his eye. Immediately starts taking a piss, and it really upsets Carl. And actually, to be fair, it's fucking gory. It's like proper mashed up eye socket of doom. It looks like it's healed over in some fashion, but Negan's really ripping into him, and he sees that Carl is getting upset, and he stops and he apologises. And it's like every single time Jeffrey Dean Morgan is on the screen as Negan, he gets better and better and better at what he's doing. And he needs an award for his performance as Negan. It is fucking ridiculous how good this guy is portraying Negan. But he apologises. He says, I'm sorry, I didn't, this is what's called busting balls. So it turns out that he left Lucille at the lorry when Carl started shooting up people. And he said, I've never done that. This kid is distracting me to the point where I forgot my baseball bat. And he busts someone else's ball. So he's trying to be... Carl's not the type of chap he thinks he should be. For the things he's done and the things he's seen, he's still a kid. And Negan says, I'm sorry. It's hard to remember that you are just still a kid. But then switches again and makes him sing him a song. You Are My Sunshine. And the name of the episode, Sing Me a Song. He makes Carl sing him a song. And Lucille likes the song. So he switches again. He's basically bipolar and he's fucking good at it. And then he goes about sitting down asking about his mum. And Carl tells him he shot his mum. And he's like, oh, sorry kid. You can see, just like in the comics, he's got an affection for this kid, and he doesn't want to hurt him too much. But he also doesn't let him put his bandage back on. He says you're a badass. And if you've got, no one's going to fuck with you if you're walking around with your eye out like that, so you don't get to put your bandage back on. Then he goes down and irons chap's face until he passes out. And then he takes Cole back to Alexandria. Rick's not there yet, but he goes back. And he wants a grand tour of Alexandria. Just so you know, Jesus was on top of the lorry, and this is when oh my god, I forgot his name. Shit, I'm back in a room. Daryl knows Jesus is up there, and Daryl pipes up to Negan and says, if you do anything, and then they drive off. By which time Jesus is not on the roof, and another little thing happens at the end of the episode. So whilst I was just refreshing my memory on Daryl's name, I come across the comment from BGR website that says The Walking Dead episode 7, the one that could have been great, but nah. I am a fanboy. However, I'm trained in film and television studies, And I believe this was a really good episode. So, yet again, you're wrong. Yeah? Anyway, so Negan goes back to Alexandria and Carl takes him on a tour. And he's playing around with taps and he's just having a really good time. We've got to wait another 15 seconds because this internet page keeps on putting up a advert for that new game with a big dog thing on PlayStation 4. Last Guardian. But no one cares. Let's get back to him. Forbes magazine says another episode of The Walking Dead dominated by Negan's ramblings. Well, yes. Because who's the main bad guy at the moment? I'm not gonna. So, Negan meets the lady that looks after the supplies, and I forgot her name, so stick it in there, please. I've just tried to find it. But I wanted to make a 10-minute video, and it's 13 minutes already. So, anyway, he also offers to sleep with her, which is quite cool. He says, fuck the shit out of you. And she slaps him, and you think, oh, well, she's going to die. And he leans into her and says, like, I don't know how to find you 50% more hotter. So this guy, he's a psychopath. He's bipolar in the best possible way. He's menacing, he's mean, but he's also kind. He's got limitations. And just like he says back when he was making an example of Sherry's husband. Sherry is Dee's husband. It's hard to keep up with all the names, you know what I mean? But when he was making an example back in the Saviours camp, he says that rules are in place for a reason. And when you break rules, I have to show you the consequence of that. So, the last thing he does in Alexandria, because he says he'll wait for Rick, the last thing he does is find little baby, little baby Judith. And he seems really quite pleased. He holds her and he hugs her, and then he's sitting on a porch with Carl and he's got her sleeping in his hand, and then he kisses her on the head. Weird. I assume that he had a daughter and a wife and XYZ at one point, and he lost them when all the zombies first started. What I would really like to suggest is that you make either a feature-length episode about Negan's past, which you might have already done, or turn him into his own series, because he's a sickhead. Anyway, so lastly, before we go, we move back to the last three things, the three other bunch of people. So, Eugene and Rosita make their way back to Alexandria. It turns out that Spencer has found some supplies from the fat zombie that was in a tree perch, and he's brought back a bunch of stuff. And then you also you see that Eugene has made bullets for Rosita. When they get to Alexandria, Negan and gang are there, so they're not greeted by their own people, they're greeted by someone from Negan's group. You cut to Michonne, who's made a wall of bodies, walker bodies, and she's managed to stop a female character from Negan's group, holds her at gunpoint and asks her to take... Michonne asks the lady to take her to Negan. She tries to struggle, but Michonne overpowers her, and that's the last you see of Michonne, so she's on her way to Negan. Jesus is already with Negan, and then Rick and Aaron find a sign, a second sign warning them that they shouldn't be there. They get shot, that this guy's got weapons and supplies and he will defend them, and that the only way you're reading this sign is as if I'm dead. And then they find a lake house at the other side of a lake, and there's a couple of hundred walkers floating around in the water, and there's going to be a lot of supplies in there. They've got a day left. Little do they know that Negan's already at Alexandria. So that is everything. Guys, thank you for being so patient. 17-minute video. If you've got to the end, thank you very much. If you have got to the end, please like and subscribe so I can continue doing videos. Not that I can't if you don't, but it'll be nice if you do. So please subscribe to me the Geek All Father on YouTube. That'd be awesome. I am on 23 subscribers. I want to get it up to, my next goal is 30. So I've got 7 to go. So if you guys can help me out, I will give you some shout outs as soon as I find out that you've done that for me. Next review is, I've got another Airsoft review coming up before I go on my first game on the 18th of this month. And I've also got a Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them review, because that film was awesome. So, thank you for watching. I've been the Geek All Father.